see you. Okay.
All right, we're live. We're live.
Hello.
All right. How's it going?
Hi, everyone. Well, everybody will take a minute, but I'm going to go on here so I can see the comments.
All right. Now look at the anything.
What?
I'm seeing if Anthony sees that we're on so he can.
Hi, Pam. So if Pam is watching, Pam, this is what I'm saying. For the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, I think you two should hook up because I think you should be promoting, I think you should be promoting the reenactments. It's the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash is in June, but it's to support wounded warriors and children, with disabilities. But it's so awesome. You know what I mean?
It sounds great.
It's just awesome. It's like they own the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange that's connected with Mark Nesbitt on Baltimore Pike, and they have oh my god, I cannot wait for it. July 24th. I keep saying June because I want it to be in June.
You're just excited for it to happen, just like everybody else. Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna kill me.
Any reason to get into Gettysburg for you? I understand.
Yes, any reason, right? So I think I just cannot wait for that. Anyway, so way before I started into the paranormal, the first time I went to Gettysburg was 2 days. My mom drugged me grudgingly. I did not want to go.
I thought you said drugged you.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
You probably did. I wouldn't put it past that crazy. But
what drugs were they?
Huh?
What kind of drugs were they?
With her, who knows? And then I was like, I fell in love with it. And then my next trip was probably about 2 months later to the reenactments in 2007. And I was like, holy crap. Every year since 2007, I have gone to the reenactments. Mm-hmm. 1 year I was there for 10 days for the whole, I stayed for the whole reenactments and then stayed afterwards. I just, I love the reenactments. And then 2 years ago, did they announce that they weren't going to do them? Was it 2 years ago or was it last year?
It was just last year. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this god of a man comes on and says, I'm doing it. Because my heart was broken. I was like, what? They're not going to be doing the reenactments anymore? I was like, because that's what started it for me. I was like, no, that's you have to do the reenactments. And then he's like, and I was like, okay. So Fred requested him, started following his videos, and he's putting up all his stuff. And then there was supposed to be one this past year. And not because of COVID. Remember last week I was trying to remember what the whole story, and somebody who was on wasn't on anymore, but it was Glenn Beck.
Sorry about that.
To have this big huge thing in Gettysburg that was gonna clash with the same timing of the reenactments. Mm-hmm. So Dustin decided to postpone for next year, which in actually 2020 hindsight was a good thing because of COVID. Probably would have been canceled anyway.
Yeah, we would have done a lot of work for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah. So go ahead, Dustin. The floor is yours. I want you just to tell everybody. Last night, just so you guys know, really quick, last night we did a trial run. And he revealed a little secret to me that he has this Gettysburg ghost page as well, which I had no idea about. But we'll get to that. I want to talk about the reenactments. I want to talk about everything.
That's my wife, Monica.
Hi,
Monica. Just coming in from work.
You look taken back, what is going on?
That's not a spirit. That's just my wife. Doors don't just open in my house.
Yes, they do. You said it Monica said they do.
I got nothing to say about that. I never saw it myself. So, but yeah. So Well, I think you speak too highly of me. I think you give me a little too much credit. God of a man. Well,
I'm just saying.
I appreciate the vote of confidence. I do appreciate the vote of confidence, but
I'm sure
I'll tell you what, I'll accept that when the event actually happens and, you know, we're on the backside of it and we haven't killed ourselves yet. But
it's
no.
gonna happen.
No, absolutely. And I'll tell you, the support that I've received has just been completely overwhelming. I can't even say enough for the people that have stepped up and, you know, really have offered money, you know, services, time. You know, it's really exciting, and it continues to happen, and people really do continue to keep on, you know, supporting us, and we're so blown away and thrilled by it. I just had another person, and you know, I won't mention names or amounts or anything like that just yet. have pledged a substantial amount of money towards the event, so we're excited about it. So the finances are definitely falling into place, and things look like they're going to really start rolling. So we're really excited about it. But to step up and do something like this was a big decision. It was a scary decision. You know, it's something that you know, I sat down and talked with my wife about for days before I decided I was actually going to do it. I've been in the Civil War reenacting community since I was 14 years old. I'm 41 now. Do the math. You know, it's been a long time. And I've seen a steady decline, you know, in events like, you know, Civil War reenacting in general. And you didn't have to duck. You're fine.
Yeah, I know.
She's like ghosting. Yeah, she's ghosting. You see that? But oh, honey, I'm sorry. She's really upset about her dogs. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, we just you know, we decided that we're going to do it. I've put Civil War reenactments on in the past. You know, this isn't my first go around with coordinating an event. It is my first time coordinating an event of this scale. You know,
yes.
This scale.
It's huge. It is huge.
So, you know, it's kind of, it's been a learning experience. But I'm excited about it. I'm committed to it. I'm not going to quit. I know there's a lot of people out there. I feel like they're kind of cheering for me to quit. But you know, I'm not going to do that. That's just not in my nature. And
you need some Jersey backbone to take care of those people that are like wanting you to quit. Because I can say for the three of us sitting here, I mean, we love the reenact. I mean, literally. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, so you hear it's not going to happen. You just were like, that can't happen, right? I mean,
yeah, that's how I felt. I mean, Gettysburg's kind of, you know, it's the Mecca, you know, of the Civil War. It's got, I mean, you've got to have Gettysburg. I mean, without Gettysburg, it just doesn't seem, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. That's a big, you know, that's a big space that would be missing, you know, in reenacting in general. But, you know, when you consider what Gettysburg is and what it is to the country, what it meant to the country back then, and what it means to us now, you know, it's just way too incredibly important for us to just kind of sit back and be like, oh, well, whatever. If we don't have a reenactment, it doesn't change the history. No, it doesn't change the history. You're absolutely right. It doesn't take away from my wife putting stuff in the trash can. It doesn't take away from you know, it doesn't take away from what the guys did out there. That'll always be the history. The history is always going to be there. And listen, the Park Service has excellent programs. You know, I can't say enough about our park rangers and licensed battlefield guides. These guys go through. I couldn't even imagine what they go through. I personally wouldn't want to put myself through that. That's like maddening, those tests. You know, so God bless them guys for doing it. And they put on excellent programs. But it's still, you know, there's been a Civil War reenactment in Gettysburg consistently for the last 25 years.
Yes.
You know, and it's just become a mainstay. But you take away too, you know, let's step away from the park side of it. Let's step away from, you know, from the history side of it. But you know, the economic impact that it has on Gettysburg is just enormous. You know, and a lot of businesses in Gettysburg really rely heavily on that event, bringing thousands and thousands of people on, you know, into town that weekend. You know, but it also that spurs people's interest in the Civil War, in the history of it, and then that continues on for generations. And that's exactly what got me involved, Civil War reenacting. You know, I was a huge, you know, Civil War nerd starting right out in the 5th grade, when I started learning about it. But that reenacting, just getting immersed into that lifestyle, even though, it's just a weekend, we're weekend warriors, but it's still an experience to wear that uniform, to sweat out there in 98-degree weather wearing wool, and it's incredible. And that really just drove my passion, for the Civil War, the history, my patriotism. It's all has to do with, the American Civil War and Gettysburg, because I only live an hour away. Be jealous. Be jealous. Be jealous. But so I go as often as I can. I got into the photography aspect of it heavily, and I kind of set out to find photographs that haven't been discovered yet, if you can imagine, if there'd be anything left, but there was. And and I've had a great time doing that kind of stuff. And I feel that when you discover a location of a photograph, it's not just, oh wow, here's a cool picture was taken right here, oh that's so great. But what it is you've just located the last place somebody saw alive. Right. Their life ended in that spot, and now you can mark that spot, and now you can stand there and you can reflect and give honor and respect to those people. So it's always been more to me than just going out there and digging up old photograph sites. It's just it's all for me. It's always been about the guys out there who left it all out there on the field. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm the epitome of what you've described as someone who hated school, hated history, hated everything about it, did not want to go to Gettysburg. I went because I'm like, what's Gettysburg? What's in Gettysburg? And I was like, just go with me. Fell in love with it. The second we saw the reenactments, I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. And started, I watched the movie Gettysburg, and then watched, I started just to go on and just kind of learn about the Civil War. And I just can't tear myself away from Gettysburg. Everybody's like, oh, did you go here? Have you gone here? Have you gone this one? I'm like, no, I just always go to Gettysburg. I don't know. And I believe it's the heartbeat of our nation, for sure. And huge patriot. So literally, my heart was broken when I heard they weren't going to be doing the reenactments at all. I was totally like heartbroken.
Sure, and a lot of people feel the same way, and other people have stepped up also and have said that they wanted to do events too. And I've always been of the mind that the more the merrier. I'm not the kind of person who likes to get into these little tiffs with some of these groups and say, mine's gonna be better than yours, and don't go to theirs, go to mine. Hey, as long as we're getting out there and we're doing it, and getting people interested, I think that's really what's the most important thing. Getting people out there and keeping it going.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because even in the paranormal world, it's like that. You would hope that it would be one big unity, and help each other out, but there are, there's people out there that are jealous and think that they, unfortunately, just want to keep one-upping and want to be the best, and, want to be on TV, want to be recognized, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But I'm your biggest fan. So there's like, anybody else can do any reenactments, I'm all about supporting the Gettysburg reenactment. So I'm like, anybody else can have a reenactment, but I'm all about those for sure.
Well, we always look forward to going to like the Farnsworth and Dobbins, only because it brings you back in time, and and they live the part as even though they're waitresses and bartenders and whatnot. But I like to see that going back in time, feel the smell of the old place, and the clothing and the recipes, the old time recipes of that time.
It's an immersive experience.
Yeah, exactly. So I look forward to going to Farnsworth all the time, so that's what makes it with the reenacting. Every once in a while we'll see like the tents pitched and little reenacting going on, and I enjoyed that,
Sure, it's a good time. And you know what, you what's kept you guys from putting dresses and uniforms on?
Well, we wanted to. Remember New Year's? We wanted to dress up in New Year in the uniforms for New Year's. But we were ready to go. Remember, we said we should dress up in what do you call it? He was going to wear a uniform, and I was going to go and get a dress like at that time period. But you'd have
been hooked. I guarantee it.
We would have been the only one there doing it.
You didn't know about this. First of all, I would like to maybe try. Well, I did. I went to what was that? Rob Gibson.
He's a dear personal friend of mine, Rob Gibson.
Okay, so that was the best Civil War photograph I've ever had done. He did a photograph for me. Not for me, I paid for it, obviously. You know what I mean? He wasn't like, hey, come on in. But I literally spent like an hour and a half to 2 hours in there. I mean, we were talking about all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that was like the best. But I got dressed up. His wife like did my hair. And I was like, yo, this is pretty cool. But sitting out there for a whole entire weekend and, no. I would rather just.
You can always get a hotel room, get a shower.
Enjoy the men in the uniform, you know what I mean, and just kind of like have some gasparilla and the kettle popcorn and just. Oh,
don't even say funnel cakes. I'm so tired of hearing about funnel cakes.
No, and the Calvary, I love that. So when which I was going to ask you. So when you announced that you were going to do this, did you have like all these reenactors or like? We still want to do this, or are they?
Oh my God! Yeah, absolutely. Hundreds of people. I mean, that first week, people. I went from like 400 friends on Facebook to 1,200. I mean, it just like that, and a lot of it was reenactors, and and people. Honestly, I love them for it because they took the initiative to come to me directly and say, "Hey, look, this is what we hated about the GAC events." And listen, I'm not, you'll never hear me bash anything that they ever did. The guy who ran that, George Loomis, was a great guy. He really put blood, sweat, and tears into that. He built that thing up to what it was, and really what happened after, George stepped away from that, that's kind of, sort of when things, according to what I've been told, this is not firsthand knowledge. That's kind of when things kind of started to go a little bit downhill. So I just want to be clear that, the GAC, they, for 25 years, they put on, great events, but, things kind of started to slip. And, these guys were coming to me telling me, hey, look, I really want to see this. I really want to see that. I think we could do this. And, it's, that's priceless feedback. And I think what's happened in Gettysburg, I think really what's really happened is, emphasis has been taken off the history. Emphasis has been put on creating revenue, and I understand the importance of that. I understand, believe me, I've learned very quickly that you cannot ignore the financial aspect of what it takes to do one of these events. Believe me, I was on a pipe when I first said, "Hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it for the guys." Right. Of course, that's my goal. My goal is to create, and it's like Sab said, it's. I want to create this atmosphere, an immersion, for the reenactors. I want to give them something that they've not had at an event before. I've reenacted for so many years. I have never done the accounting. I don't know the number. I don't even care to know. I hate the fact that I'm 40 years old. It's like, but I digress. So I just. I've had experiences on the field, and we call it, as a reenactor, we call it seeing the elephant. Okay. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but it's when you're out there, you feel like this could be real. I mean, everything is real with the exception of there's not people dying beside me.
Right.
There's not massive explosions going off and killing people and massive holes being ripped through guys, but short of all of that, you have an experience that you take with you for the rest of your life. I want to take that experience and I want to step it up a notch. Okay. And I want to do that by using pyrotechnics. So
what did they use prior?
I mean, they shot stuff up straight up in the air.
Well,
it went boom up in the air.
I know, but what would be the difference?
Okay, I don't want to tell all my secrets.
All right.
But what I will say is the folks that I'm working with in the pyrotechnics world, we are working on creating safe explosions and stuff to actually put within very close proximity to the actual troops. So when a cannon fires, okay, it's not just this boom and waiting for something to happen.
Right.
So
you want like
cause and effect.
Yeah. So you want it to look like it hits somewhere.
Absolutely. Don't you think that?
Cool.
Just that in and of itself would create an experience. I did it in my first event that I ever put on. I had this guy. His name was it was Park Avenue Armorers. They were from Virginia. I don't even think they're in anymore. And he created these sacks, these things, and he put sawdust and some other material in them and little explosives. But you could stick those buggers anywhere. We had them on the side of buildings. We had them up in trees.
Cool.
Every time a cannon would fire outside of town, an explosion would happen in town. So it would just, I mean, that in and of itself created an atmosphere like, wow, man, this is intense, you know? And he was great. He was timed every time a cannon went off, an explosion went, and that's what I want to create out in Gettysburg and do it on a much larger scale. The other thing is a lot of times when guys would fire artillery at Gettysburg, they would do an air burst. They would send something up into the air. We're going to send something across. So it's going to kind of, instead of going up, it's going to go over. But I'm not going to get into a whole lot of the details. It's kind of tricky, and but it's just something to create more of an experience for these guys. But we're also, I mean, it's an expensive endeavor. It's going to cost. This is going to be a huge expense, but what these guys are going to experience is something that they will take with them years and years down the road. They'll always remember the 158. And that's my goal.
Yeah, I'm all about it. So wait, so when you say these guys, talk about the reenactors, right? And I'm going to say this, the action shots, the pictures I get from the reenactments, like how does somebody from, I'm just going to use this as an example, California, that's with and I don't even know if this exists, 148th Virginia, 13th, whatever, right? He's from California, but that's his thing. And then somebody from New York is in the same one, and then somebody that's in something else. Like everybody just knows what to do. I'm sure they don't rehearse for this.
Actually, yeah, you do. A lot of these units that come together do spend a lot of time drilling and practicing. I would like to see some more of it. And some, I would like to see guys spending a little bit more time focusing on, learning actual drill and ceremony of the period and, maneuvers and things like that. But a lot of the times they do, I was a member, when I first got into this, I was a member of the 45th Pennsylvania. And the 45th was a great unit. We were very cohesive. And our commander was adamant about knowing our stuff, and he took us out. We'd have drill weekends outside of any reenactment. We would get together and we'd drill, and we'd be like sick of drilling. I'm like, this has got to be what the military is really like. Having been in the military myself, yeah, I can honestly tell you, we drilled pretty hard, for being a reenacting group, and that's what these guys do. If they take it really seriously, they want to look good in the field. It doesn't matter. We have people that come to Gettysburg from France and Germany who participate in this. And I've been contacted by a few units. 20th Maine comes from France. A big portion of those guys contacted me and, are excited to have this happen.
That's awesome. So I know that is there a lot of people that that have been to the reenactments previously, the big players? Like when I'm saying it's like the generals. So I feel like it was like the same picket for many reenactments, are they contacting you, or are you just kind of, are you reaching out to people, or
I was doing that for a while. And again, I think this is where I can talk a little bit more about my goal for the event being more of a historically driven event, not something that's just here for entertainment, really, where spectators can come in, sit down on the benches and watch this cool little battle go on, and then they go about their business. What I want this to become is something that's more of a hands-on experience, okay? When you come in, I want you to go to these people. I want you to interact with them, all right? You're not just watching a show. You're becoming part of the show. You're going to put a uniform on. You're going to handle the accoutrements. You're going to see what a 9-pound musket feels like in your hands, and we're going to try to immerse you in that aspect, and how that leads into the people that we want to have to do this. These are the people who have been around for a long time, who have studied these people, like General Meade. Okay, but what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to have 3 General Lees, and I don't want to have
right.
and, those are the things that we're trying to avoid. Ulysses S. Grant wasn't at Gettysburg, so we shouldn't have a Grant at Gettysburg. It's just,
I agree. Yes.
It's just common sense stuff like that. But what I really want to try to do, and listen, these are reenactors. I cannot say enough about what these guys do. There are units out there that study and study and study, and the term stitch counter is thrown around a lot, but that's something that these guys are proud of, because they do that kind of research, and they want it, and they're doing it because they feel that is the best way to honor the guys. That's not to take away anything from people who don't do that as intensively. I listen, I'm a mainstream guy. I'm not a hardcore, campaigner, but you have to respect what these guys do and put into this hobby to portray these guys as accurately as they do. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, because it's kind of like, it's a little parallel here. We don't get paid for what we do. It's all volunteer. It's all, on our own time. We take off of work if we have to take off of work. We travel if we need to travel, So and that's the thing for me. Like I loved going out and supporting. Yes, it started to get a little expensive, but for me, it was like, it was going towards a good cause, so to speak, wherever, so, I didn't mind spending the money. I'm sure, the people that would come to Gettysburg for that. I mean, it was, I'd have to say the 150th was impressive.
Sure. That was that's a major time for any battle during the Civil War. The 150th was a big year.
Yeah, but there's just something different about Gettysburg. I don't know. There's just something different. So wait, good question. Somebody said, could there be a live reenactment virtually shared so people all over could watch on the internet? You could also charge a fee as a ticket to watch, so to speak. Maybe not, as it like they said you could have several cameras set up across the battlefields, and people could choose what camera or reenactment to watch. Or
that's interesting. No, I haven't even considered that, to be completely honest with you. I don't think that sounds like a bad idea. I really don't know what it would take to orchestrate something like that. I think somebody who is a little bit more tech savvy than myself will probably have to chime in on this, but I think that would be a good idea. Like I said, anything that we can do to continue to raise awareness and just keep that fire burning, because these guys, they gave their lives out there. It's hallowed ground, and it's really. I mean, think about it. It's up to us. It's our responsibility. It's been left to you. It's been left to me, to keep their memory going. And
absolutely.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and here's the thought. Like, whenever I'm there, and now I'm in the paranormal field, right? So I'm always like, I wonder if like all this is like stirring stuff up around, like if the spirit energy or like, all those, because I'm going to tell you this right now, all the evidence that I've gotten from Gettysburg has been intelligent, all intelligent. I mean, to I'm shutting the lights off and a woman saying, "Are you trying to sleep?" To when I was at the 20th Maine marker, I said, "Are you from Pennsylvania?" And you hear, "No, Maine." Like totally intelligent interactions. You know, for me, I think, you know, they're hearing the cannons, they're seeing the horses, they see the reenactors, you know, that's got to keep the energy there. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. Like I'm no expert, obviously. I think you guys could probably speak to this a little better than me, having not had very many experiences. But I think, sure, why not? You know, I mean, the energy has to be higher anyway, just for the sheer amount of people that are there at that one particular time.
absolutely. So, like, are you planning on having like the vendors and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, guys that are watching this that are reenactors. There will be funnel cakes, all right. But we're just gonna put them on the other side, so you don't have to see or smell them. All right. But
I guess the funnel cakes really, you know, are a turn off, huh?
well, for reenactors, yeah, the funnel cakes are a big joke. But see, here's the thing: you have to understand this is, you know, this is an enterprise. Okay, it isn't simply, you know, just okay, dude. Tony, you kind of scared me a little bit. You just popped in there. I was like, "Where's it? What's going on, man?" Yeah. So, you know, when you think about this, yeah, I mean, you have to look at this from an entertainment perspective. You have to look at it from the historical accuracy perspective. So, how do you bridge these gaps? You know, and it's very simple. We have a massive amount of property to play with out there. Okay. And I think one of the things that we can do to create an atmosphere for the guys so they don't feel like they're at the circus. You know what I mean? Because really, let's be honest, that's what guys are calling it. They were calling it the circus. You got sutlers and people selling, you know, Civil War stuff sitting directly beside funnel cakes and the French fry wagon. You know, really, I mean,
let's not get rid of the French fry wagon, okay? Let's keep the French fry wagon, whatever.
Okay, we need
I can do it now.
We need the food truck driver, the food truck guy, Mr. Mose or Joe's.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
he's like in southern.
So I take it he has good food, because I would have no idea who.
Yeah, it's like Cajun catfish and, you know, funnel cake.
The French fries are amazing.
Well, it's funny. We were just talking about French fries and how they go to our hips. Do we really need the French fry truck?
Yes. Yeah.
So what I want to do is what I'm trying to do is create an atmosphere, a period atmosphere, so the spectators feel like they're also immersed in this. Okay. But the reenactor feels like they're participating in an actual Civil War battle. And to do that, I think we're just going to have to separate things. There's going to be some distance, and I know that's not good for some of the older folks that come out and you know, some of the spectators, but people still want to have these amenities. People still want to be able to go and buy the Gettysburg mug. People still want to be able to go buy the Gettysburg T-shirts.
Yeah, but they get that in town.
They could get those in town, absolutely, but that doesn't help us.
But if you put if you smack 158th, right? You know, and you know, I don't know. Do you have like a DAC, like a little committee that's going on? You know, you can, you know, I don't know.
A DAC, a Dustin Anniversary Committee. Is that what you're? No, there's no Dustin Anniversary Committee. We're the Patriots of the Civil War Association, and there is a group of us that are working together on this. Yeah, and we're hey, look, we're always looking for volunteers, Taryn. Don't you two laugh. I can use you too.
We like
I'll put you all to work.
I don't know about dress up. You know, one thing I thought was always interesting is the difference in attire from how girls dress now and how the women, should I say, dress then. You know, I would walk around and I'd be in like skimpy little shorts and my tank top, and here would come this like elegant woman walking up with this like beautiful dress on and, you know, hair and the hat and the, you know, I was like, dang, Like, what's happening? Like, it's so weird to see the difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. I mean, back in the Civil War era, you couldn't even show your ankle without being considered a little bit of a floozy. I don't know how we have to watch our language on here.
No, you don't have to. Yeah, it's
All right. But yeah, so I mean, it is completely different. And I'll tell you, women back then were elegant. Even camp dresses were elegant, according to today's standards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not knocking anybody, but
what?
I'm not knocking anybody.
No.
So has the planning been put on hold for right now, or are you still like working?
No. So yeah, I actually, it's a grind. I mean, really, it is. The behind the scenes, I should be making a movie of what my life is like behind the scenes. I'm constantly doing things. Well, I mean, even like this, it's just anything that I can do to be moving forward and progressing and getting closer to, checking more boxes. And believe me, the list it's a 500-page book, There's so many finite details that go into this type of planning. You have to be cognizant of everything. There's permitting, there's insurances, there's registrations for infantry, cavalry, Confederate, Union, artillery. Then you have to, horses have to be healthy. Coggin certificates and vaccination records. These are all things that everything has to be taken into consideration. I mean, and it's mind-boggling, honestly. It really is. When you get down to the nitty-gritty, I'm like, I've looked at myself in the mirror thinking, dude, what in God's name did you get yourself into this crap for?
But something called you to do it. Like, you just,
it's a lot to juggle.
It's
a lot to juggle.
Yeah. I'm only good at juggling 3 balls. I'm trying to juggle 50.
Yeah. So do you have like a planned date for next year?
Yeah, so we're gonna do it over the anniversary weekend. It's the first weekend in July. I think this year it's gonna be, or 2021 is gonna be the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, if I'm not mistaken. And we're gonna be competing with other people who are going to be putting on an event as well. And that's fine. We just want things to be happening. We care about Gettysburg as a whole. We care about the community. We care about the economy. And we also care very, very much about, the people who, laid it all out there in the field. So we're going to do everything that we can to make it, the best. I personally, I set myself very high standards, and I make them very difficult to achieve because it makes me work harder. And really, there's just no rest in between. If I'm not working, driving a truck, or fixing somebody's toilet, I am working on this event and making phone calls and connections. And that's really what this whole thing is. It's networking. Because if anybody thinks that they can come in here and do this by themselves on their own, they're batshit crazy.
Right. Well, it's a huge event. Like, it just automatically in itself. I mean, I know that from going so many years in a row, yes, there were years where there wasn't as many people as there was the next years, but to me, there were still a lot of people there, even reenactors. Like,
right.
There's been times where you've been on, or there's been articles and people have commented about, the reenacting is dead and this and that, and people are bashing it. And I'm like, as a not knowing any better, it's almost like when you're on stage and you're performing and you fuck up, the audience doesn't know you're fucking up, So for me, being somebody in the stands, it still was as amazing every time I went to watch it, no matter what, how many people were there or not. You know what I mean? So,
But it's a noticeable difference, though. If you go during a 150 event and there's 15,000 reenactors, as opposed to the 151 or 52 where there's 35. I mean, the experience is completely different.
It is, but it's still, the reenactors make it. You know what I mean? Like, I know I would sit there and I would watch, and I'm like, I would watch all of them and how they interact with each other. They salute the generals. They salute that, like, they're just always in character the whole entire time. So, you know, for me anyway, and it could just be me. I mean, there's not a damn bad thing I can say about anything in Gettysburg, for sure. So maybe it's just me, but you know, those were, I would watch this and I'm like, wow, like they totally are playing the part, you know? Yeah, it's like constantly, you don't catch anybody off their game when they're reenacting, you know?
And I mean, these guys really do put a lot into it. And that's, you know, I study the Civil War when I get any opportunity I get. I'll sit here, and mine's more photography, but you know, there's also still, you know, the military aspect of it. But what these guys put into it, it's mind-boggling. You know, their dedication, their devotion to it. You know, and you know, that's something that really needs to come back into the hobby. People caring about how they look and how their impression looks. And also how they conduct themselves while they're in that uniform. You know, you kind of have to take yourself out of the modern, you know, frame of mind that you're so used to, and kind of start thinking like somebody would have during this period of time, 1863. You know, how do you do that? You study. You read first person, you know, stories and what these people experienced firsthand. And there's so much of it out there. And there is no better way to immerse yourself in it than by doing that. I mean, just Tilly Pierce's book. I know that's been criticized, and people have said that, you know, that it's you know, possibly, you know, been embellished, and we're talking about somebody who was much older when she wrote the book, and so things could have changed. But if you've never read that book, I highly recommend you pick that up. It's What a Girl. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's
her first person experiences really, and the way she explained them, immerse you into it. And the other part of it is knowing the battlefield the way that I do. You know, when she talks about the Weichert farm and the Georgia or Jacob Weichert farm, you know, I know these buildings, I know these structures, I know where they are, and I can see what she's talking about. And you know, that's really the best way to get the best Gettysburg experience is by reading these first person accounts.
So were you like one of those like diehards where you would like pitch the tent and you would set up your whole like thing and you'd be like cooking over the fire pit and
I pitch the tent every morning. I mean, if you're going to open the door, I'm going to walk through it. I'm sorry.
And that is allowed here, so it's okay, you know.
I'm sorry for that momentary lapse of unprofessionalism.
No, it's all good.
My God, that's too funny. But no, yes, I pitched a tent. I stayed out in the field. I'm going to be laughing about that when I wake up tomorrow morning. But no, yeah, I set up the tent, and you know, I progressed as my kids got older, you know, and as the family started to grow, we started to do things differently. Kind of started to get away from the dog tents. You know, we got away from the dog tents. We started using A-frame tents, and then we went from A-frame tents to the bigger tents. And you know, as some guys would call it in the Civil War reenacting world, I was a total farb. You know, like I'm the guy who went out there with the pickup truck, and you think these guys walked in with what they had on their backs, right? Yeah. You know, I roll in with a pickup truck, and I'm throwing crap off the back of my truck, and like, we're camping, babe, let's go. You know, you know, so, but there's a place for all of that. There's a place for that in the hobby. And I think what we have to do to get away from this whole, you know, this guy's a Farbie or this guy's, you know, hardcore and he's the best. You know, I think everybody deserves respect. This hobby is super expensive. You know, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. I could tell you, I've got $10,000 worth of reenacting stuff just floating around my house and my barn. And there's guys that have a lot more. These people who artillery, those pieces of artillery are $40,000 a piece.
Oh wow!
Insane.
You know, Yeah, and you go to these events and there's 40 or 50 cannons. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Oh yeah,
but
and the horses.
Oh, sure.
I mean, the people that bring the horses, you know, for the cavalry and everything.
You know, the feeding and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
So
go ahead.
I'm going to ask you to hold on one second.
Go ahead.
But so Tony, what got you guys interested in Gettysburg? Or the Civil War in general?
He said Tony.
Well, just like you, I'm only like a few years older than you. I got into it when I was in 5th grade, probably 6th grade. I was a Civil War buff. I went to Shiloh, Chickamauga when I was young, when I was 12, 13 years old. And then Gettysburg was a dream of mine to visit. And finally, when I moved out here, that's the first thing I wanted to go was Gettysburg.
Awesome.
I visited a lot of Civil War battles. We went to Manassas recently.
Yeah, we
went to Manassas
last weekend.
Yeah.
So last weekend we went to Manassas.
Yeah, I went to.
That's an excellent battlefield.
Yeah, that's really nice. I've been all over. I'm a big Civil War buff too, and also a paranormal investigator. So, yeah.
So what kept you from being a reenactor? Did you ever did you ever think about doing it?
You said, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and I just didn't want to commit to something if I was going to be half-assed. Sure. But that doesn't mean that I don't maybe get in there somehow. Now I might have a connection through you.
Hey, just come. Hey, you guys got a free pass. Just let me know.
Yeah.
I can get your uniform too. I'll put you out in the lines.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm all about glamping. Okay, I'll come out. I'll support. I'll pom-poms. Yeah.
You know me. I like dressing up. I love dressing up. So I'll dress up.
I'm surprised with you. I'm surprised as much as you like doing it. I'll tell you what. My wife's got about 35 dresses. I'm sure she can part with one of them.
It's like half of me.
5.
She's like this big.
I know she is, right.
I don't mean that. I think she's beautiful. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying. Like
Listen, I will not ask a woman what size she is. You must have lost your mind.
Okay. All night long. I'm sure you guys probably are like hanging out and partying after it's all said and done during the day or whatever. But people have any experiences paranormal wise, the guys that you've ever,
yeah, honestly, I have a page. Listen, I haven't touched this page since I started it. I kind of started
it. Last night he says this to me and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I do have a Gettysburg Paranormal, Facebook page. It's got a whopping 66 members. I mean, I really haven't pushed this thing. I started it years ago. I mean, because and this is why I did this. All right. You go to any Gettysburg page on Facebook, any Gettysburg discussion group, past and present, these guys do not want any discussion about paranormal. I don't understand why. I think it's because, like you mentioned earlier, it gets so heated. It gets so passionate. People get passionate about this. And it goes off the deep end, and I think it becomes hard. It becomes hard to mitigate, So I was like, I got to the point where these people all wanted to talk about it. I'm like, I will start a page. Why not? Gettysburg Ghost, Facts or Fiction. Take it for what it is. Let's discuss it. Let's have a conversation about it. If you don't believe it, that's great. Let's talk about your skepticism. I think skepticism is completely normal and completely healthy. I don't want to walk out and be like, a breeze moved a little weed and I'm like, there's a ghost, Right. People that do that really take away from the folks like you who take it very seriously and do the hard work and get out there. And, sometimes I think, people just take things overboard, and I really got so tired of all the fighting that I just thought it was time for somebody to start something, but I just never got in. I just never stuck to it. I got too involved with my trivia page. That has almost 5,000 members, and we get into some very good discussions on that page. And I think the paranormal aspect of Gettysburg is an interesting side. of the history of the battle. But I think historians like to kind of stay away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the same way with the historical sites too. Like as far as historical homes that we go visit, and for the paranormal, some of them don't like to deal with the paranormal. They just want to deal with just the history of the house itself. They try to stay clear away from the paranormal. But in the other aspect, it helps make them money. So if there's paranormal activity there that we're aware of, that we can help them. But some people are still, they'll brush that off immediately when you come down to it. But it is a moneymaker for them. It can be. Really.
Sure it is. Sure it is. I mean, look, you can go to any town. I'm sorry.
Obviously,
Yeah, you go there. How many ghost tours? How many ghost tours can you go and sign up for and pay to walk around Gettysburg and just hear ghost stories?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a profitable business.
It's one of their money makers.
Certainly.
It is. I remember seeing this shirt one time. It was like Gettysburg, a historic town with a ghost problem. Like I was like, it's like, I thought that was cute, because it's true. But there's not anywhere you can't go. And then it's, as many times as I've been there, and that feels like home to me, I still am such a tourist when I go there. I'll still buy Gettysburg stuff. I will go just walking off into the woods to try to explore and find new things. And you know what I mean? So even though I know that town better than with my eyes closed, I know that town, but I still act like a tourist when I'm there. I have friends there now. I'm like, and for me, people are like, "Oh, did you go to the battlefield?" I'm like, the entire town is the battlefield. It's the park. Okay, well, go to the park, but the entire town is the battlefield. There's nowhere you could go that there wasn't something that was happening. And then I was going to ask you something, but now I forget.
Boy, here we go.
I hate it. I totally
had a question too, and I forgot. Dang it!
We're here live right now, and I have Cashtown right there. I have our picture, Darren, that we have of Chamberlain there. I got this one over here. So yeah, we're like covered with the Gettysburg pictures.
I have a Gettysburg bedroom. It's all Gettysburg. And downstairs I have so I took photos, and they were put on a canvas, whatever. So they're like everywhere. I'm like, I should just move there.
You really, I've been telling you this now for a while.
Yeah, I know. I really honestly.
Just saying.
Somebody said most of the paranormal is moneymaker, ghost tours, a lot of equipment, just moneymakers. I agree. The ghost tours out there are, you really got to.
You don't need a ghost tour. You just bring your, your recorder and go yourself. You don't need to pay the money to learn about it.
I agree with you, right? But when you first start going, I see all these people, I get messages all the time, oh, where should I go? What should I do? Blah, 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 and I'm like, stay away from this one, stay away from that one. I can vouch for, Pam and Steve, or go to Gettysburg Ghost Exchange, Mark Nesbitt, but there's so many out there that just, they'll charge you $100 for nothing. And you're like, you get these people that come out there and they're like, oh, we're doing this extreme ghost hunt. And you're like, no, you're not. That's why last year when I went to Gettysburg by myself, and I was on the Brew's page the whole time, because I was saying, I was calling it my paranormal journey. I was going to all the spots that people could go to where you can do it yourself. You don't need to have these people, you don't have to pay $75 to hear a ghost story. You know what I mean? Where, it's just, anyway, we're going off on a tangent a little bit.
Go, you run with it, girl. I'll just sit here and listen. Go for it. Get it out of your system. Apparently you need to. I'll be your therapist if you need me to.
So yeah, so like what kind of like do you need? A lot of those stories aren't even accurate. Yeah.
The stories aren't accurate. You mean the ones that they're telling around Gettysburg, or
Yeah,
is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, like with the tours and stuff. Somebody said a lot of those stories aren't even accurate.
I've been telling you this stuff.
Somebody else said, I only use a video camera, a voice recorder, and a digital camera. I said this the same thing. That's all I have is a camera and a recorder, voice recorder. And really, Gettysburg, you just every time I've been there, I've had an experience. So it's just
well, I just saw Bill Freeman's comment. Unfortunately, history doesn't make money; the paranormal does. I don't necessarily agree with that entirely. I think that's exactly why the Gettysburg reenactment is important, because it really does make money for the town, and that's history based, and that in and of itself is what.
Well, that brings the families in, and it kind of is educational for the kids too. I mean, they don't really get that much great knowledge in school anymore about our history. And I think, if your parents bring your kids, to these reenactments and teach them like, well, this is how it was. And just like it brings life to Gettysburg. So they get to visualize what that experience somewhat was like, and how things were, how they lived, and what they wore, and how they made things. And very important for the reenactment.
I even said in the beginning, I didn't start going to Gettysburg because I was into the paranormal. Mm-hmm. I started going to Gettysburg. My mom drugged me there my first time, but my second time was the reenactments. And for years, that's all I did. I would go there for the reenactments. I went there for the history. The town is just, I feel like it's in this own little bubble, and it's like you just go there, and the history, the preservation, the people, it's amazing. The paranormal stuff didn't happen until way after, and then I was like, my first experience was there, but I was going there way before that, so I agree with you, Dustin. Bill, I love you to death. I love you. But I do agree that the history part of it, I mean, people that come from all over the world aren't coming to Gettysburg for the paranormal stuff. They're coming to Gettysburg because of what happened there,
absolutely.
And the Civil War, they're not coming there to see a ghost. They're coming there to see the park, the national park, and the monuments, and to learn the history, and to see, I mean, I love when I'm there and there's actual, like, the military guys are walking around.
Yeah, that's what I was just ready to say. You see a lot of your your older generation where they were through the wars, and you see their caps on, their hats on, and they're getting really into it.
Right.
Well, I'm talking about like the actual, like the guys that I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it's like training or whatever, but
you're talking about just reenactors just strolling around town. No, we used to do that all the time.
No. I'm talking about like the real military, like the army's there, and they're like, at Little Round Top, and they're just standing, and I'm like stalking them, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Well, I can speak to this a little bit. We did something that's called a spur ride. See, I was in the cavalry in the modern army, the real army, and we did something called a spur ride up here, and we loaded up our entire troop on a bus, and we came up. See, our unit is descended from the 17th Pennsylvania Cavalry, which was over on the First Days Field. They have a monument over there where the fording farm used to sit. Maybe you'll know the Eternal Peace Light Memorial. It's directly across the street from that. So I was in the 104th Cavalry, and that unit our unit descended from the 17th. So we came up here literally just to have our picture taken beside this monument. But then we also, it's imperative, even in the military, our commanders liked us, specifically for the Cav. I can only speak for my captain. He wanted us to know our roots and have that connection with our history. It was a great experience, and a lot of times you see military here on buses, I think it's right on the same, right along the same line. You've got to know where you came from.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you had Camp Colt there. You had Eisenhower who just. I'm telling you what, when I die and I'm a ghost, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going to be at. I'm going to be haunting the Eisenhower farmhouse. That's where I'm living. That's where I'm going to be. That place is awesome. But
hey, thanks, Bill. I appreciate that. I would serve again if I could.
Aw.
I would. I'm too old and. Hey, there's my daughter.
I'm older than you. Why you there, buddy?
Hey, kiddo. That's my daughter's just got here. So.
Hi, daughters.
Hey. Hi.
Oh God.
Yeah, you definitely are. That's okay. I love you too, sweetie.
But yeah.
That's funny.
This is why I need to make that office upstairs. No, it's okay. I love seeing my kids.
Yeah, speaking of history, so like I was saying, so here's I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
But in that square is Gettysburg High School. And this is one of my favorite spots to go to because basically the Confederates that just came at them got shot down pretty bad, blood spilled over there. But I wonder what the history lesson is saying, like, to all the students that enter that school, like, you're sitting on an area where the Confederates, these people like saw their last, their took their last breath and try to,
absolutely. Yeah, that was I'm sorry, Sab, go ahead.
No, I said, I'm wondering, like he said, I wonder how they comprehend that sitting on there.
Because there's a field back there. You got their track and their football field. And there's been, people that have taken pictures back there. And supposedly there's one of capturing a horse with, a cavalry officer, somebody, an officer on a horse in the field, that field right there. And it's a very active area. And I love going back there. It means a lot to me. And I'm just curious. I always wondered what the history teachers there talk about. And
I would love to know. No, I would love to know. Honestly, I think it's sad. History's not being taught the way it used to be. Yeah. Let's be honest. I think they touch on the Civil War and it's like, then it's gone.
Yeah. And it's a shame.
No, it's a tragedy. And I think folks are more in like just concerned about doing this, what's going on Facebook, and there's this massive separation, and I think teachers have to really start to become more creative in their approach to reaching children this day and age. My kids, they're lucky enough to have a dad who just is crazy about Gettysburg and the Civil War, so I've drugged them kids to battlefields all over this country. And they have an understanding and a respect, for it. But kids today are not being, taught that stuff. They're not being shown that stuff, and it's being lost. And it's making it, as an event coordinator for something like this, it's making my job that much harder. Trying to get people to come out to these events and getting. How do you engage them? And that's why I need to take what Gettysburg has been and go here with it. Yeah. And I need to step it up because kids today are visual. Think about most kids are Call of Duty, man. You know what Call of Duty is all about. They want to see Call of Duty. So I need to show them Call of Duty on the battlefield, as much as I possibly can. But you see what I'm saying, though? It's a challenge. But to your point, that part of the field is Hayes is Louisiana. Louisiana Tigers, and it came right up through that was where they assaulted Cemetery Hill from there. Yeah. That is such an important piece of ground, and I think that it's just lost on people,
It's totally lost.
Yeah.
It's not a Civil War battlefield. It's a track and a football field. What are you talking about?
Why were they, I know they needed it, but it just sucks that did it, you know?
Where's that balance come in?
I've never known until he told me. Like, I always saw the,
Yeah.
you know, the high school and, you know, the track and everything and the football field. I wouldn't have known until New Year's the next day. He was taking me down and we actually feel things too.
Yeah, so that's just, I got a bunch of all the maps and stuff. You know, I was showing her all the maps, you know, but that's one of them, and that's an area that I take her back and
Yeah,
totally nerding out. I love that you're totally nerding out. That's fantastic. We need more. We need more nerds like you and I, man. Like, if I were to take you out and show you my pickup truck, it's almost embarrassing how many books I have just flying around the back seat. There's just, I mean, every Gettysburg photography book that's ever been written is floating around the back seat of my truck. You know. But that's how, when I take somebody out to the battlefield, I take a handful of books, you know, and I'm like, look, this is, you know, this is a window into the past, and you're standing in the spot where this photograph was taken, and you can see what it looked like. You know, can you really top that kind of immersion? Really? I mean,
it's insane.
It's wonderful.
There's a one guy you might know, Greg Ainsworth. He always does those.
Oh, Greg's a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Like, I am in love with what he does with those photos. He will take present and past and just like put them next to each other, this and that. And I'm like, wow, that is insane. Like,
you clearly are not following any of my work, apparently. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. I do the same stuff. I pretty much do the same thing Greg Ainsworth does. I haven't been as active as in posting like I used to do. If just go on any of those sites and just Google my name or like search my name, you'll see a lot of stuff I've done.
You're planning an entire event, so I can't imagine that you would be, you know, doing all that stuff. I mean, that in itself will.
Well, I am actually currently working on writing a book about Civil War photography, and I'm doing that in between, you know, working on this and being a father and. You know, everything else. So it's like, I love it. And you have to have a passion for it to be able to do all this kind of stuff. You know, if you didn't, you'd be like, really, why am I even getting out of bed this morning? You know?
And it's crazy. Like people like I have a few passions. I'm a very passionate person. Right. So, you know, but then you have people that aren't passionate about stuff and you just feel so bad for them. You're like there's gotta be something that just lights your fire, you know what I mean? Like something that just there's got to be something, you know. And it's crazy as much as an animal lover I am. I don't volunteer at the animal shelters because that's just too emotional for me. So you know, I love Gettysburg, so it's like I go there 17 million times a year. You know what I mean? Sure. And I can go there by myself. It's one place that I can just go by myself. And I can be there for a week and be completely fine and happy. Like just
I mean, that's where I take my mental health days.
You have to. Well,
you know,
I mean,
I have to be in Gettysburg for a lot of reasons, but I go there also to, you know, clear my head too. And you would think it'd be hard to do because, you know, I'm there to, you know, put on this incredible event, but you know, I go out there and, you know, especially now with the lockdown and people, you know, staying at home, you know, the place is completely empty half the time. And just having that serenity, that peace and quiet. I personally go up to the 99th Pennsylvania Monument on top of Hawks Ridge. And I sit there and early morning, I just watch the sun come up behind Little Round Top. And it is the most beautiful, serene, you know, moments, you know, you just can't put a price tag on that. But I also do a lot of reflecting. I think about, you know, those boys in the 99th, you know, how'd they get up there? Why were they on top of that hill? You know, what did they do up here? You know, and then I start nerding out and I break out Phil Lano's book and, you know.
I have to say that I have never seen a sunset in Gettysburg. I mean, a sunrise. Sunset.
Oh my God.
All day long.
How can you even call yourself? You know what? I think this interview's over. Oh, I can't believe that.
I wouldn't even know where to go. I wouldn't even know where to go. I know I go to Little Round Top to watch the sunset. My most
just go on the other side to watch it rise.
Yeah, but I've never done it.
You should do that. I don't see you as being an early riser. I don't know what it is, but someone tells me you're not getting up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Maybe not
Hell
4
is 4 a.m. Is
I'll get
4
up at
a.m.
like
really a thing?
5-ish, 6-ish, you know, once to catch the sunset or sunrise. I keep saying sunset.
Yeah.
But so all right, so I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be honest, putting it out there. If you do need help, I will help. I'm not gonna dress up, but if you need help,
Careful what you ask for.
I know.
You be very careful what you ask for, because I'm gonna hold you to that. Yeah, you're coming to Gettysburg, whether one way or another. You're just gonna be working.
But listen, I have a question though, because I'm curious. Are you gonna have like? I know you're trying to make it a little. I know you're trying to do things differently, but are you gonna have somebody commentating how they did like as the battle is going on?
Yeah. So okay, this has been something a little bit of a. There's been some contention with this as well. You know, you can't hear a guy talking over rifles firing and artillery going off and explosions, and you know, I mean, they meant well, and I think they had good ideas. You know, narrating a battle. So what I decided we're going to do, and this is from Ryan Topper. He, you know, this Ryan's a great guy. He came to me with this idea, and I think it's great. We're going to narrate the battle before the battle takes place. So we're going to tell you what you're going to see. This is what happened. These are the units that are participating. This is what you should expect to see. Then he's going to shut up. And I spoke to Matt Atkinson. I'm sure everybody knows that name. Matt has agreed to one day to narrate the battles for us. So we're really excited about that. Of course, I have to talk to him a little bit more about that. That was for this year. I'm pretty sure I can get Matt to come back out next year, throw him some chicken or something from Dairy Queen. I don't know, but but I'm pretty sure, you know, he'll be on board, you know, as long as he's not doing park programs. But there are other folks that have approached me about, you know, being willing to do that. So, but yeah, I think it's lost if you're trying to talk over a battle. I mean, you're not going to hear anything, and so we want to get you the information, but we're going to get it to you before the battle, and then the battle will take place, and you'll have a good warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. One thing I did notice, so you know, they used to do like different battles throughout the day, you know what I mean, this and that, and one they always did was Pickett's Charge. They always did Pickett's Charge.
Yeah.
And then I learned about East Cavalry one year. Never knew East Cavalry ever existed, and I was going there for, I don't know, 8 years at that point. I'm like, what is East Cavalry? Like, they're doing this like East Cavalry battle, and I have no idea where it's at. And by the way, it turned out to be one of my most favorite places. I love going out to East Cavalry. I love it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the battlefield for sure.
It is so amazing, and it's just so. We went out, Sabrina and Tony. We went out the last time we were there together.
Yeah.
I mean, was that not like just so amazing?
Yeah, it's very peaceful. Very peaceful.
Yeah. So ironic, right?
It's really one of those places where not a lot of people go to, because, like you, a lot of folks don't know that it's there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you see a little sign that says East Cavalry Battlefield this way, but you know, a lot of people don't venture out that far. You know, they're mainstream people that they go to downtown. They want to hit the shops and, you know, get to Little Round Top and Devil's Den, climb the castle, and you know, do those things. So,
my daughter's favorite.
There you go. Right?
Devil's Den.
I love Little Round Top, though. I do. That is like that's my little spot.
So one of the things about Little Round Top that, you know, and this is something that I always tell people about Little Round Top, and people, it's perspective. All right. Our country's highest honor is the Medal of Honor, and a man earned the Medal of Honor on that hill. You know, I mean, think about that. You're standing on that ground where our country's highest honor was awarded to a man, you know, and that is just like, it's mind blowing to me to stand in a place like that. It's such honor, you know?
Yeah. And then you sit there and then like for me, I've fallen asleep there many times, like laying on one of the rocks, watching the sunset, and I passed out, like just in heaven, you know? And I'm like, as peaceful as it is, to think about what was going on there, which was like the total opposite of what I'm feeling right now. You know what I mean? Like, it to me is like amazing in itself.
Right.
You know, I just the contrast of the two. You know, I know people that go there that, you know, in the paranormal field that are sensitive and all they feel is like negativity and all the bad stuff. And I always say, like, I don't feel that. I feel like the stuff that happened in between, you know, where, you know, I feel the hope and the fight and the drive and the, you know, the conversations in between the battling between the soldiers where they're like, you know, yeah, you know, I love this one. I'm going to be home. We're going to fight for this. We're going to do this. You know, it's like, I don't feel the negative. I respect it. I know that, you know, what happened there was tragic for sure.
Sure.
You know? And the other thought I always have too is like, if it never happened in Gettysburg, what would Gettysburg be? You know, like this
another town.
Yep.
Yeah, but like it's like this is like my Calgon. Like I would like, what would it be now? Like would you still like find would Gettysburg be what it is? Like people still preserve the history? Would people still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Well, look at Shiloh. You know, Tony mentioned Shiloh earlier, and that's a dream battlefield for me. Like I take virtual tours of that battlefield all the time, just because it is so unbelievably well preserved and gorgeous.
Yes.
And really, I mean, it's the romanticism. You know, that's what it is. It's romanticism. You know, it's a beautiful place, but it's also these guys who loved something so much and they believed in it so much, you know, that they were willing to give their lives for it. I mean, it's romantic in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and that in and of itself, I think, is just what makes these places so, you know, it draws us to them so much, you know, because, you know, so much was given. And there's like that part of me, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but there's that part of me that almost wishes that I could have been part of that, you know? To be a part of something so big. And you're like, wait a second, this was horrible. These guys suffered miserable deaths. And, you know, who would ever want to be a part of something like that? But, you know, it's easy for folks like us who are left with what they did, you know, to say something like that. But really, I think that's what it comes down to. It's just romantic, and it draws us to it, you know?
Yeah. I say that all the time. Like I always say, like, I wish I could just go back in time just before the battle happened, during, and then after, just to have that experience, to see, just to, even though I feel like in my mind's eye, my heart, you know, you can kind of, you can never 100%, you know, get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, I always say that to myself. I'm like, I wish I could just be here for like a day before, or like, you know, the day after, or, you know, for only 5 seconds while it's going on, you know, just to see what was happening, or to experience it. You know, I mean, it was when you watch the movie Gettysburg, and it's like, you know, you had, you know, best friends against each other. Like I couldn't imagine like wanting to like be on the opposite team of Sabrina. Like I couldn't imagine that. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, no, I would be like with her. Like I don't know how they did that.
Sure. Well,
know?
I mean, just the story of the Culps, you know, was named Henry Culp. He came back and he like died on his own family's property fighting for the Confederacy.
Yes, I know.
You know, you know, it's the ironies. It's romantic. That's really all I can come back to. It's just really something, you know, special. But you know, it's funny. You talk about, you know, I always said, and this is kind of stupid, but I always said if I had my 3 wishes, you know, the other 2 are secret. I'm going to keep them to myself.
How do you say you have 3 wishes and say 2
are
secret?
I'll tell you the one. My one wish out of those 3 would be to be able to travel to any point in history and witness the events occurring as they were occurring. You know, but you know, not really, you know, be in harm's way or anything like that.
Right.
But just kind of like be the fly on the wall.
That's a bird, but fly, okay.
Yeah. Fly is less likely to get hit by a bullet. Okay.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So,
No. Yeah. That would be cool. I mean, I guess, I mean, I would probably want to try to intervene, but then when you always think about that, like how you would, if you intervened, like let's say you went back in time and stopped Booth from shooting Lincoln, what would have happened? Or stopped Kennedy from being assassinated, like what would have happened?
4 more years. 4
yeah, that's true.
4 more years of a great presidency. I think personally. But.
Yeah. No, I'm
not trying to start a fight because I think there's people there. There's definitely people separate on that topic. Some people love Lincoln, some people hate him.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But so all right. So like I said, I am putting myself out there. I will help. I'm not going to dress up. I'll sell like. I'll sell soda, I'll be at the ticket booth, whatever.
You're signed up now. You're done.
The 158th is going to be like history, like making history, so I would like to be a part of that. So,
I hope so.
I hope so. I will. It will. It totally will. I totally think that, I think it's going to be awesome. And I can't, even if my only contribution is, paying for a ticket to come see it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying.
No. You ain't getting off that easy. You ain't getting off. You're going to be the guy. You're going to be out there with little traffic things. You're going to be directing traffic.
That's the worst.
You really want somebody from Jersey directing traffic out there?
Oh my God! This person just said "fuck you" to me.
Yes, Taryn.
And he ate my light stick.
I have a beer in the hand when she's doing it. So there's 2 beers. One's empty, so it's like. All right, come on.
But yeah, so that's cool. I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it. And
I would definitely appreciate the help. Anything that you did would be extremely appreciated. Believe me, because we've had a lot of volunteers. We got a lot of people stepping up, and that's like I can't even say enough. Really, I can't say enough. But I hope the people that have pledged their help to me show up when the time comes.
Yeah. Well, you just have to keep pumping those videos out there, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because I want, as much as I love Gettysburg, and everybody that follows us knows how much me and Sabrina and we love Gettysburg, and it's amazing to me that how many people that live there have never been to the reenactments. I talk to so many people that live in Gettysburg, like, oh, I've never been to the reenactments. And I'm like,
well, they become kind of an inconvenience to the people who live in town. I mean, traffic steps up, traffic becomes a huge nightmare. Logistics, and it's like bike week. I ride motorcycle. I love riding. My bike, I don't have loud pipes on my bike, but you go through Gettysburg. Listen, as a guy who rides motorcycle, I don't like walking down through the center of Gettysburg when there's 35 bikes revving their engines going down through town,
Right.
But it's still all something that brings people to Gettysburg, and it's all valuable, all necessary, and I support anything like that.
All right, I'm going to ask you this: how did you feel about when they were wanting to put a casino right outside of Gettysburg?
Jesus, look at the time. I think we've been on here for quite a while now, but yeah, seriously, the weather's so nice in Gettysburg right now. Like being like 80 degrees in Gettysburg is no. All right, so enough joking around. No, look, man, that's a tricky one. I'm all about capitalism. This is what I was going to say earlier. Where do you find the balance? There's got to be a balance, because you have to progress. Life progresses. We have to progress with it, but we have to preserve our monuments. All right. And Gettysburg is a massive national monument. Does that mean we can't have a casino just outside of town? No, I don't see why we couldn't have a casino outside of town. That doesn't really affect the battlefield. I don't think we need something like that anywhere near any part of the battlefield or the town.
Right.
You know, why couldn't it go over near where the outlets are?
Right.
You know, there's got to be a balance. That's really what it comes down to. I know, like when the Lee's headquarters was being restored, people were having a fit about that hotel being ripped out of there, and I understand it. I completely get it. People for years made memories in that hotel. You know, they spent nights and weekends and weeks with their family, and they created these memories, and those memories were just wiped away. I understand that, but that is at the dead center of a very pivotal moment. Sorry, what's up? Yeah. So there, it was at, you know, that's at a part of the battlefield that really needed to be preserved, you know, because it tells a story. You know, I mean, that's Lee's headquarters. That is Robert E. Lee's headquarters. You know,
I mean, I love how they did how it's, but like you said, like that was like my first investigation. I investigated with Ben Hansen. If you don't know who he is, I mean, that was like my first. We caught a lot of stuff there. For me, I'm like, it sucks that it got tore down, but I'm not totally bent out of shape about it because Lee's headquarters is there. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
You know, I mean, I care more about that preservation than I do a hotel that they put there. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's, you know, I love what they've done with it.
Sure. You know, and again, a lot of people lost their lives on that ground. You know, I mean, it's hallowed ground.
Yes.
So I just, you know, for me, I want to see it preserved.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. And we want to see the reenactments continue. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, Sabrina and Tony, I think you guys, I'm waiting for you guys to volunteer. I know it's going to happen here sooner or later, right?
No, I feel like they did. They already did.
Probably.
All right. No, I won't hold any of you to it, but I'll tell you, I would definitely appreciate it. I need people. I need people taking money for tickets and things like that. You know, these are all important things that I need help with. You know, and look, one
calendar.
1 year. Okay, it's just over 1 year. Let me tell you something. That year's going to go like this.
I know.
You know, I mean, it's hard for me to believe it. Like it's already June.
I know. And it's like it's gonna come quicker than you think.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
and it's like, but yes, you know, I am willing to, you know, take money for tickets and all that stuff. So if you need help, I will do it.
You're already signed
That
up.
would be awesome. Like I don't think anybody that knows me knows I would not turn down the opportunity to help out the Gettysburg reenactment.
So I'm curious. This is the Paranormal Brew, and we haven't really talked about it a lot. I haven't ever been on here with you guys, and first I would like to extend my sincere appreciation for you guys having me on. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. But I want to hear about your Gettysburg paranormal experiences, at least for 5 minutes. You know, come on, we're on the Paranormal Brew. Let's hear it.
Go ahead, you two go ahead. And then
my first was going to Cashtown Inn. I went quite a few times to Cashtown Inn because I just fell in love with Cashtown Inn, and that was pretty much the most of experiences I've ever had when it came to paranormal. It's not quite in Gettysburg, but it's, you know, where it all came through.
It's connected. Yeah.
So
the Army of Northern Virginia came right past there.
Exactly. So, I mean, really, it's not quite Gettysburg, but it's, you know, it falls in that lineage. And, you know, I was just staying in a bed and breakfast and just hearing this 1 foot person upstairs in the other room. And I'm like, what is going on? Why won't this person, he sounds like he only has one leg. And when we woke up the next day, you know, the innkeeper said there was nobody staying there. The toilet, I went to the restroom and I came back into the bed and the toilet slammed 3 times. The next day, also after a shower, you smell like cigar and that BO smell coming through the bathroom. So there was a lot of things going on in that one particular 24 hours, and I had to keep on coming back to Gettysburg and experiencing the town and that bed and breakfast specifically, which I had more experiences each time I came back. And I like the atmosphere. Actually, the very first time I stepped foot in town, I started crying because I just got so emotional. Once I stepped on foot on the grounds, like right where Mr. G's is, where that ice parlor, right there is where I had like an experience, and I just started crying for no reason. I just was so overwhelmed with emotion, and it's just like these visions kept on coming through. That's probably, why I kept on going back. I just, there was just so emotion involved in it that I just fell in love.
How about you, Tony? Do you ever have any experiences there?
Yeah,
Farnsworth.
Farnsworth Inn, definitely. I stayed in the room where they laid the body of the Confederate sniper, the Confederate soldier that was that sniper in the attic. I supposedly stayed in that room where he eventually lost his life. He bled to death. He did get hit. I saw shadows moving. I felt like I was being watched. And I don't get scared. Like when you do paranormal investigations for a long time, it just becomes natural to you. You just don't get scared as much. You don't feel nervous. I mean, it just depends where you're at. I mean, but I was very nervous. I felt like something was in the room, and I was being constantly watched. And I heard noises like every 15 half hour. There's noises in that room. I had to leave the light on, and I had to leave the light on. I was asleep in that room, and it was like I didn't really do an investigation. I just wanted to experience it.
Yeah, I wasn't doing an investigation either. I was just staying over.
Yeah.
So this was even before I was even in a paranormal group, or I was into the paranormal, but I wasn't doing investigations. I never even, was thinking about it. I just went to have an experience, and behold, I did.
And then
that's awesome.
And then we stayed in a bread and breakfast just south of Round Top. They used it as a hospital for the Confederates. What was it? Longstreet's units?
Bayberry or Bay something?
Yeah, wait. Yeah. So, but supposedly they buried some soldiers there, Confederate soldiers, underneath the tennis court.
Oh God.
But we stayed in a room where supposedly a females, whatever you call it, ghost spirit, or it has a fancy for men. And we were up all night. We were investigating. We were doing EVP sessions out in the out there outside and wandering around. But I was fast asleep, and then something woke me up. Like I felt something touching me. I'm not appropriate touches either. Like something, they're like my leg and trying to get my attention. And
Balladary Inn.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never stayed there.
Was it Balladary Inn?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's just outside of Round Top.
Was it? Or I know it started with a B.
Anyways,
maybe I'm getting it wrong, but go ahead.
I mean, I was like frozen. I was just like, this is, and it didn't stop when I woke up either. It was really strange. That was definitely. I wasn't like scared, but I was definitely like, oh, it's true. The stories are true. This is really happening. I'm having a paranormal experience. I'm having an experience, but I mean, I stayed in a few other places, but I didn't get anything.
Yeah, see, I think that's one of the things I really want to start doing myself. I spend so much time, I try to spread my patronage out to different areas, in Gettysburg because I'm there so much. But I've been staying at the new Best Western that's right there in town. But I really think I want to start spending some time in like the Tilly Pierce house, and these types of bed and breakfasts because I'd like to see. I mean, maybe. I will have an experience if I kind of put myself in that situation.
In Lincoln Square.
Do it.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah,
in Lincoln Square.
Start there.
Get your in at Lincoln Square.
In Lincoln Square. Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, well, I'll take that definitely. I'll you know what? That's exactly where I'll stay the next time I go. See, I told Taryn, I was like, I've never had any real, bona fide, genuine paranormal experiences. But then we start talking, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, maybe that wasn't an experience. But my experience was with a Ouija board, and it was a crazy crazy thing that happened to us. And I'll spare you the whole story, but of the 5 people that were involved with that board, 3 of us are dead. And they died at a young age.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, but yeah.
She heard the whole thing, but that was something else, and the other one was at my house, in my old house in Elizabethtown here in PA. Real quick, I was up in a closet. my current wife, my girlfriend at the time, was standing up, putting something on the top of the closet, and I was kneeling down looking for something on the bottom of the closet. No idea what it was at this point, but the bedroom door had to be shut because you couldn't open the bifold door if the door was open. You see what I'm saying? So the door was closed, and the only kid that we had in the house at that time was her son Draven, and he was sitting Indian style down on the floor watching TV. But I heard very distinctly this mom. It said mom, but it was like ghostly. It was like mom. Like quiet and like mom, and I was like, "Hold on, Draven, I'm doing something here. Just give me a second, And I was like, Draven, and he didn't answer me. So I was like, I look up at Monica, and she just kind of looked at. She's like, "You heard that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I thought Draven was calling for you." So I looked out around the corner, and Draven's just sitting down there, just watching the TV like kids do, And I was like, "Draven, did you call for your mom?" And he said no. So I can't explain what that was. I personally think it was my wife playing games with me. But
I don't think so.
She says not, but I'm a healthy skeptic. So, I can't explain that.
Yeah. So, that's okay. You can be a skeptic, but that, sir, was, a paranormal experience that you both shared and you had, and, it's unexplainable, but you had it.
I guess we'll chalk that one. We'll chalk that one up, I guess. But I've done it. Like I've done it. Like I have digital voice recorders. I went out and bought a thermal camera. I spent crazy amount of money on this thing. I've got the stuff. I've had the stuff. We had this place called the Hans Graf Cemetery in Marietta, Bainbridge area. And all it is this random cemetery in the middle of nowhere. And it's surrounded by this concrete wall. And apparently that people used to get up on top of this wall and go, do their little circles and chant their little things. And apparently they'd had these crazy experiences and they can conjure the devil. I don't know. I never got into it. All right. But I did go down there, and it was with my buddy Anthony. We were down there, and we did get this one really cool EVP. All right. Don't judge me, Taryn. Don't judge me. But it was a very cool EVP. I would love to play it for you, but unfortunately that was on a computer that crashed. And was summarily thrown in the garbage forcefully.
With paranormal experiences, like just people tell me stories. But I say it's like a battle. You can get hit by artillery, gunfire, and possibly hand-to-hand combat, or knives or whatever. So you're really experiencing it when you get all of it. You're getting pounded away. You get phantom smells, phantom noises. You start to see stuff. You get stuff on your equipment. That's the experience when you can get it all. And you're not even trying. It just comes at you. That's
pretty much a paranormal.
Yeah, that's the paranormal experience. That's when you really truly just a few things here and there. That's my opinion.
That happened to me the first time in Gettysburg, and
everything.
Well, at that time I thought it was the first time, but I was with my mom and she's like, my mom was all into it. She wanted to be a part of she wanted to talk to ghosts and do this and that. And she's like, oh, all right, I'm going to get out and go walk in the field. You want to come with me? I'm like, no, I'll wait here. It's pitch black. You could be out there till 10 o'clock at night. It was literally like 9:45 at night. I was like, no, I'll wait here. And she's looking at me and I'm looking at her. I'm like, did you fart? Because all of a sudden, I smell.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, no. I'm like, this smells awful, And she's like, no, I didn't. And on her side of the window, it was like this three hard knocks. The window shook, and I just hit the gas pedal. And my mom's like, where are you going? I want to talk to it. I was like, I will stop, let you out. And I'm going to be at the, I'm like, I don't want no parts of it. You can talk to whatever you want to talk to. I said, I ain't sticking around for that. No way. Nope.
See, these are the cool experiences I wish I could have had. I would love to experience something like this. I don't have any fear of it. You could lock me in a pitch black room in a dungeon somewhere, and I'll just be down there like, let's go.
Okay. We'll hold you up to that. We'll know I know where to put you. I know.
Oh shit!
I know a place that.
I'm like that now, but then I want no parts of it. I did not want it. If I can't see it, I can't touch it. I can't. It's like I don't know what. It's the fear of the unknown. If we didn't know what ants were, and one went crawling across your front, across your floor, you'd be like, "What the hell is that?" You freak out.
Sure.
So, I totally didn't stick around for that one.
All right, Tony. So I'm curious. I've got to know where would you stick me? What hole would you dump me in?
That's a tough one. I would say, you mean for you to experience something?
Yeah. Well, he said he knows Tony said he knows the place. He knows a place where he would put me.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Where, Tony?
No. There's a house that's kind of alive.
Kind of alive.
It's out in the boonies. So if you have any car mechanical problems, you're in trouble. They can talk about it. It's up in New York.
Hinsdale?
Yeah, probably Hinsdale might be a good. No, you don't think it'll bother them.
You don't want to go to Hinsdale.
What about Penhurst in one of the tunnels?
Penhurst, absolutely.
I've heard about Penhurst. Was that an asylum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Penhurst.
I don't know which tunnel though. Which one? Probably the one.
The Rockwell tunnel.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Rockwell. You said Rockwell. Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'm not
They
scared.
feel like they're coming for you. You hear noises all the way down from the other tunnel, and it's coming your way.
Oh, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
do
no,
this.
I think if I was to pick a spot in Gettysburg, because there's so many, but Culp's Hill for sure. But Culp's Hill, I go to where the stinking tower is, but then you go past the tower, you go down the hill, and there's
rocks?
yeah. So down there is I've always had good activity down there.
Do you know what happened there? Do you know what that was used for?
Down.
Yeah. So I would be so happy to do that for you. Right. So I get to nerd out for a minute. This is great. I'm in my element here. So basically the rocks, I make sure we're talking about the same place, but when you go over, there's a small monument there. I think it's the 7th Michigan or something.
Yes.
I can't think of but it's a small monument there.
Yep.
And you go, there's a trail that goes down, and there's a huge rock formation down there.
Yes.
That was used actually as part of the Underground Railroad, and slaves were actually runaway slaves were actually people running from the Confederates, and runaway slaves actually used those boulders and hid in within those rocks up there.
You just taught me something I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Stick around, you'll learn a lot more.
That's awesome. I didn't know that, but that's one of my favorite spots to go to. I mean, whenever I go there, I totally feel it. I've gotten EVPs there every time I've gone. When I had my live video last year, people were hearing stuff, and we were hearing stuff. So,
if you go to Gettysburg Daily, I think it is Gettysburg Daily, and you can do some searches. There's some pretty good videos on there, and there's one of the battlefield guides actually covered those rocks up there, talking about that being used for slaves. So Rich says something about the Rockwell Tunnel because it connects to so many buildings.
Yeah, Rockwell's pretty scary. So yeah, that would work.
So what were these tunnels used for? Were they Were they just there? I mean, were bodies taken through there
When
if
you
they
built
died?
an asylum, what do you think tunnels were used for?
Getting away from crazy people like you.
Yeah, I mean, Rockwell is. I mean, there's so many things happen there for me, paranormal wise. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's Penhurst is definitely one of the places that it's a good place to go to. You would like that.
I'm going to invite myself when your next investigation there.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I would actually, honestly, I've always wanted to go and participate in other investigations. I've done my own, but I really want to see how, you guys kind of function, behind the scenes, not this whole, Ghost Adventures thing.
Yeah, well, that's not even, that's TV. If literally, if they were to do a show of what we do, nobody would watch it. They'd fall asleep because we're literally in the dark for 4 hours, just trying to, eventually we're talking about like where are we going afterwards? To what diner? What are you going to eat? I'm starving. I'm hungry. I mean,
as long as it has pasta, we're good.
Exactly, and French fries, we're good.
Yeah, pasta. You got to put gravy on your fries. They're not good unless you have gravy on them. And you got to wash it down with a beer.
The what? And wash it down with a.
Jocelyn says it's mostly laughing at each other. So that's what you guys do there? It's just a big circle jerk, and
we just literally like it's I mean, depending on how many of us there are, we will split up. But nobody ever goes alone, so we do split up into the teams and stuff like that. But, me, I'm so nosy and curious. I will open up anything I can open. I will look and see if the floorboards pull up. I will open closet doors. I am like all over the architecture of a place. Like that's it.
So is destruction of private property part of the contract?
Rich said Tilly Pierce House Inn is incredibly active, especially the second floor and the attic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to see what he says.
I mean,
I like the Tilly Pierce. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, but like I say this every what place isn't active in Gettysburg? I mean,
have you ever heard Mark Nesbitt actually talk about stories that things have happened to him in his shop there in Gettysburg?
So I know that the girl that was living upstairs, I think, had an experience. When I talked to him, this was years ago. He at that point had never really had any experiences. He just followed a group around and would write about their, like whatever they were doing or this and that. He said that he is at the time he told me, I'm like dead to anything paranormal. Like nothing ever happens to me. I don't experience anything. I just write about what these investigations are. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, no, he never told me what happened to him at that store. But
apparently there's a little girl. There's a presence, a little girl that's there, and she likes to pull on shirts. She'll pull on people's shirts and they'll be running out of there screaming and stuff. I mean, it's a cool story.
Yeah, well, our good friends now have gone half-seas with Nesbitt, and they're at the back of, the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange. They're kind of renting space, or I don't know what they're doing. I'm not going to say renting space. I don't know what their whole setup is, but half of the building is theirs, half of the building is Mark Nesbitt's, and they're like working out of that, and they own a house called the Lookout House where they do investigations out of that.
Cool.
They're also the ones that are running the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, so they're quite involved with the community there. So hopefully,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, we've been on for almost 2 hours. This seems to be a thing for us lately.
This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks. Hey, anytime.
I mean, I was a little skeptical myself asking you because, you know, I'm like, you're probably like paranormal. I'm like trying to like be like, you know, trying to do these reenactments because I'll be honest with you, you talk to rangers or you talk to, you know, anybody that's serious about the Civil War, they don't want to be involved with anything with the paranormal. You know what I mean?
It's just a professional thing. I for whatever reason, I feel like they think it's going to like dampen their credibility or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, especially like, you know, that one quote by Chamberlain that I just absolutely love. Like, I just think like that is, you can't, like, I feel like keeping the spirit energy alive there just totally, like what you said earlier, just keeps, you know, what they fought for alive too, you know, like, and for me, but anyways, when I was asking you to be on, I was like, you know, I'm kids can be like, what are you, batshit crazy chick, get out of here, you know? But so I thank you for coming on. You know,
look, I'll never pass up an opportunity to talk to wackos. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm an academic guy. I had to say it. No, I'm kidding. No, I honestly, you know, I think I have a little bit more of an open mind than some of the folks in the Civil War community as a whole. I'm interested in a lot of things, you know. I mean, me being a part of this show does not just, I mean, I'm not saying that I believe that, you know, ghosts are real or not real. You're giving me an opportunity, you're giving me a platform to speak about something that I believe in, and that's the Civil War, and that's, you know, Gettysburg and the reenactments and things that we want to do to preserve that. You know, I'll never pass up an opportunity, and I'm a fan of your show. I watch you guys all the time. You know, occasionally I'll comment on there, but you know, generally speaking, I stay quiet. I'm in the background, but you know, but I am watching, and I think you guys have a great program. I love it. I hope you keep going, and I would love to come back on sometime. That would be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. And if I am a part of, you know, helping out, it'll be streaming live on Paranormal Brew. You know what I mean? While I'm there, you know.
There's no if. You're already signed up. Ticket taker number 1.
It's like, beep, here you go.
There you go. But no, seriously, I appreciate you guys very much, and I had a really great time. So thanks a lot for having me on.
Us too. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Hey, take care, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
That was cool.
Yeah. Yep. It was cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to get the, you know, that whole stuff out there. You know what I mean? With promoting the reenactments and everything. I think that's awesome that he's doing that. It's a huge job that he's taken on. So, and I'm hoping that maybe him and Pam and Steve can hook up and do something, you know, they can maybe help him out, you know, promote it a little bit.
Sounds good.
At the bash.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Good night.
Rich, I love you. I miss you.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will be on next week. And we'll see you guys then.
Adios.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.